I asked, you responded, and the Digitech Obscura just narrowly beat out the Mini Qtron for what pedal you wanted to see most in the next video. Let's see what makes this pedal just so darned interesting. I really liked that little jam. I was getting into it. Let's pull it apart a little bit just so we can hear the individual guitar parts. So first, here's the rhythm track where I use the analog mode of the Obscura. All right, and then for the lead part, I switched to the tape mode. So here's what that sounds like. My very first delay pedal was this, the DoD DFX9 digital delay. And one of its major selling points was that it's digital, so it can produce perfect repeats for as long as your heart desires. Same thing with the 80s rack delays like this Roland SDE 1000. I love this thing. The goal was CD quality echoes because analog was icky and digital was the future, and the future was now. That was all before we realized, hey, you know what? There actually might be something to that analog flavor, whether it's intentional or not. I remember when the MXR carbon copy came out in 2004. It was great hearing a delay that embraced the analog side and made it part of its signature sound. The Digitech Obscura is the digital anti-digital delay pedal. It's got 4 modes of delay, and well, we might as well start out with the first one, analog. This is meant to be in the style of a non-digital chip-based bucket brigade delay, like a Boss DM2, a carbon copy, or a Memory Man. The signal in an analog delay goes through a lot of compression and filtering in order to prepare it for the bucket brigade pipeline. So there's a slight loss of clarity, particularly around the higher frequencies as a result, which you just might hear in the Obscura's analog mode right here. With a tape delay, there's a limit to how much amplitude or signal strength the magnetic powder on the tape can handle. So we get a sort of saturation and a loss of fidelity that way. Since it's also a mechanical system with lots of moving parts, there's going to be some slight inconsistencies in the playback speed as well, resulting in some ever so slight pitch variations. That brings us to lo-fi, which is meant to emulate early digital effects where the whole squishing a signal down to a fixed bandwidth thing hadn't quite been figured out. So you'll hear some odd artificial artifacts of signal conversion in there. I'm sure your wrist isn't your pen. And for each one of those modes, you can adjust the delay time. The number of repeats or feedback. There's also a tone knob. And there's an adjustment labeled Degrade. And what that does is it amps up the amount of each mode's signature flavor. So back to that first mode, analog, here's a whole lot of analog signal degradation. Switching over to tape mode, here's a whole lot of wow and flutter, which is what happens when you have old and crinkly tape or a tape drive mechanism that really needs some cleaning. Cranking it up in lo-fi mode creates a little bit of input channel overdrive. And in reverse mode, you're going to hear a lot more tape saturation, since apparently that's based on the tape mode, I guess. Now, if we go purely on face value, that's it. It's a digital delay pedal with a couple of different modes, but we like to go deeper here. And by go deeper, I mean we read the manual. For example, this pedal has tap tempo. You wouldn't know it by looking at it, but it does. To get into tap tempo, you hold down the button for 3 seconds, you wait until it starts blinking, and then you tap out the tempo that you want. And once we're in here, we can turn the delay time knob all the way to the left, and the LED turns green. That means we're in 8th note mode, so we get 2 echoes per tap. Set it back to the right, and we're back to quarter notes, or 1 echo per tap. The middle setting turns the LED yellow, and that's where the dotted 8th notes live. So that's an 8th note and a half. And that's good for when you want the notes to be tied to the rhythm, but not landing squarely on the beat every single time. Then there's the repeat hold function. This is really pretty neat. You play something, hopefully something interesting, and then while it's repeating, you turn the feedback knob up past 3 o'clock, and that'll keep it repeating. And once it's repeating, you can play over it. And while that loop is repeating, the tone, degrade, and delay rate knobs still affect it, so you can have some fun there. Now, I let that loop run out by lowering the feedback knob here, but you can also stop it by flipping the tail switch up top to off and then bypassing the pedal. So there's a whole lot of features packed into this pedal in addition to it just sounding incredible. Let's do one more jam and then we'll regroup for the logical conclusion. I like to think of these pedals, the Obscura, the Nautila, the Polara, and the Ventura, as kind of being like the spiritual successor to the Hardwire series. They've got hex screw heads, they've got that split body construction, stereo ins and outs, and that infamous 3-second tap tempo thing. Prices for these are kind of all over the place, and I guess we'll see how history ultimately treats the Digitech Obscura altered delay pedal. Don't let the skeleton scare you away, though. I think this pedal could fit into just about any rig, but I could very easily see a few shoegaze and dream pop acts really using some of the features here, especially the looping feature with that slow degrade trail off thing. No matter what, my fingers are crossed for the future of Digitech. Hopefully we start to see some new or at least reissued products real soon. Until then, I've got quite a backlog to work through, so stay tuned, tell a friend, keep playing, and I'll catch you on the next one.